So today, we're diving into the incredible science of epigenetics. This is the idea that our daily choices, what we eat, how we handle stress, are basically in a constant conversation with our DNA, and they might just be rewriting our biological destiny. To really get it, though, we have to start with a really fundamental question.
I mean, have you ever really thought about this? We all know people who are the same age but just seem worlds apart. You've got one person running marathons at 60, and another is already struggling with chronic health issues. Now, this isn't just luck. The answer is way deeper, right down at the level of our genes.
To wrap our heads around this, we first have to totally rethink what age even means. Because, let me tell you, it's about a lot more than just the number of candles on your cake.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got your chronological age. Super simple, right? It's just how many years you've been on the planet. But on the other hand, you have biological age. And this is where it gets really fascinating. This is the metric that matters. It's a measure of your body's actual health, its resilience at a cellular level. It's why two people who are both, say, 50 years old can have wildly different health outcomes.
So what's actually driving that difference between them? Well, the answer is this incredible field called epigenetics. And probably the best way to think about it is like this. It's the software that runs your body's genetic hardware. Your DNA sequence, your actual genes, that's like the hardware in a computer. For the most part, it's fixed. But epigenetics, that's the software. It's this whole other layer of instructions on top of your DNA that tells your genes what to do, when to switch on, when to switch off. And here's the crucial part. This software can be updated by your lifestyle, by your environment, by you. So how does this actually happen? Scientists have found it three main ways. First, there's DNA methylation. Think of these as tiny molecular sticky notes that get attached to a gene and can basically tell it to be quiet. Then you've got histone modifications. This changes how tightly your DNA is coiled up, which makes certain genes easier or harder for your cells to read. And finally, there are non-coding RNAs, which can act like little guards, blocking a gene's message from being turned into a protein. These are the tools our environment uses to talk to our gene.
Okay, let's make this real. This chart shows what happens when you experience stress. It's not just a feeling, it triggers a physical chain reaction. Over on the right, it lights up your HPA axis, the body's central stress system, flooding you with stress hormones. And on the left, it can actually switch on genes that create inflammation. As you can see, both of these paths can lead to things like depression. This is a perfect example of your environment physically telling your genes how to behave.
But here is the most empowering part of this whole story. If our environment can write these instructions on our DNA, so can we. We actually have the power to influence our own epigenetic software through our habits. So let's look at the tools we can use to rewrite our own code for the better. Diet is without a doubt one of the most powerful tools we have. Study after study shows that diets like the Mediterranean and DASH diets, the ones packed with veggies, healthy fats, and whole grains, can create really positive epigenetic shifts. Things like polyphenols, which you find in olive oil, can actually reactivate beneficial genes, like the ones that help suppress tumors. And check out this number right here. A study on the traditional Korean diet found it increased what's called global DNA methylation, which is a great marker for genetic stability and health, by over 9%. That's a real, measurable sign that this food was having a protective, positive effect on their genes. And it's not just what you eat, it's how you move. And the effects can stick around for a long time. I mean, this quote is just incredible. It's saying our muscles have an epigenetic memory of exercise. So even if you take a break from working out, those good changes to your DNA can remain, making it easier to get back in shape later. And the results are, well, they're stunning. Scientists can now measure something called our transcriptomic age, which is basically a snapshot of how old your cells are acting. And one study found that high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, actually reduced the participants' transcriptomic age by an average of 3.5 years. That is literally turning back the clock at a molecular level. So we've talked diet, we've talked exercise. What about the mind? Well, it turns out mindfulness isn't just about feeling calm, it's causing real physical changes. Studies are showing it can alter key stress response genes, it can turn down the volume on genes that cause inflammation, and it can even change the instructions on the HPA axis, our central stress command center. It is literally reshaping your biology to be more resilient. So we know all these things can change our genes, but how do scientists possibly pinpoint these tiny changes among trillions of signals happening in our body all the time? Well, that's where cutting-edge technology comes in, and it's tackling a massive, massive challenge.
Okay, so here's the problem. Researchers often face what they call these small n, large p problem. That just means they might only have a few hundred people in a study, but for each and every person, they're measuring tens of thousands of different molecular data points. Trying to find the important signals in that massive ocean of data is just incredibly difficult. And this is where new AI is a complete game changer. Take a look at this table. It shows how different AI models do when trying to spot disease patterns in genetic data. That F1 score is basically their accuracy grade. As you can see, older models, not so good, around 33%. But this new AI, MOTGNN, which is designed to see connections in a much more sophisticated way, it scores a remarkable 87%. That huge leap is changing everything about our ability to understand how our lifestyle really affects our health.
So what does all of this science, from what's on our plate to the AI in the lab, what does it all tell us? It tells us that the future of our health isn't just about discovering new medicines. The future is personal. The future is you. This right here is the ultimate takeaway. Every single meal you eat, every workout you do, every moment you just take a second to breathe and manage your stress, these are not just random actions that disappear. They are messages. They are instructions that you are sending directly to your genome, actively shaping how your genes are going to express themselves for years and years to come. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. As this science keeps growing, what we're learning is that we aren't just stuck with the genetic code we inherited. We're active editors. So, if you had the power to rewrite just one instruction in your body's code, what would you choose to change?